the one is a better IM. The Bunny is a better IM than the $280 flagship, and I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, here's my sound preferences. I like a variety of different tunings, but really what gets my juices flowing, starting from the lower octaves, is in the bass. I like my bass punchy, tight, fast with a kick. I like a little bit of energy down there, maybe a little bit of warmth, but not too much getting into bass bleeding. It's got to have enough weight to make male vocals, make piano, cello, percussions, have the right tonality. When it comes to my mids, I do like my mids and mid clarity, but I don't like too forward a mid, so that's the upper mids I'm talking about. So keep the pinna gain down a little bit and not make it too forward a presentation. And when it comes to the highs, I do like my sparkly highs. At my age, I'm probably losing a little bit of the high frequencies. But not too much where it's sibilant and in your face. So that's what I like.
Took a deal, sign another deal, post up in the hills on the rail, headed for a mill, travel with me still, gang kills, all this pop appeal, got these pop stars try popping in, and they getting pop for real. I ain't tryna build, I was tryna lead a meal, getting to it, before I hopped up off the block, I was still going through it, friends doing pills, and came faster than it should've, I was Buddy Hill, shooting at a pace soon as I pull up, dropping buckets, yeah, like it's nothing, in the kitchen chopping onions, yeah, tears falling down, underdog is finally overcoming, cause I'm dropping buckets, hey, yeah, like it's nothing, hey, earn my respect and burn a budget, hey, tears falling down, underdog is finally overcoming, baby, yeah, I'm dropping buckets, drop some cash for me, don't worry about my past for me, I'm driving with no gasoline, this life I live's a fantasy, yeah, I do this for my dogs, all my day ones and my family, my life gon' live through them if I end up in any tragedies, I hope y'all understand this shit got bigger cause it had to be, I always knew I had it, but just not at this capacity, I recognize the gravity, closer to the summit, stacking chips and counting nuggets, I've been stunting, baby, cause I'm dropping buckets, hey, yeah, like it's nothing, hey, in the kitchen chopping onions, hey, tears falling down, underdog is finally overcoming, cause I'm dropping buckets, hey, yeah, like it's nothing, hey, earn my respect and burn a budget, hey, tears falling down, underdog is finally overcoming, baby, cause I'm dropping buckets, earn my respect and burn a budget, tears falling down, underdog is finally overcoming, baby, cause I'm dropping buckets.
Alrighty, boys and girls. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Tanchjim Force. This is Tanchjim's latest flagship collaboration IM with Effect Audio. And sitting here on my desk in front of me is a couple other IMs, and I just got a bit of Dave from Audio in Reviews review of this driver, and he went over a couple great comparisons with some other IMs in around the same price bracket. Now, I think Dave and I have very similar tastes when it comes to our sound preferences, and I agree with his choices that he thought were probably better IMs in around the same money. I'm going to do something just a little different when I wrote mine. This was going to be a short and dirty one. Why? Because it was hard to listen to for me, not just subjectively because it doesn't hit anywhere close to my preferred sound frequency response that I target myself, that I like, what brings out musical engagement for me. Not at all. So I'm going to compare it to a couple other IMs that were also dual dynamic drivers that I thought did it better. So this first part was going to be the about section, because I wanted to go over some of the marketing here, not to put Tanchjim down, because in the back of my mind, this is the weird part about doing a review, your biases, right? So for me, I actually am biased for Tanchjim because I absolutely love to smithereens the Tanchjim 1 and the Bunny. And I keep hoping for Tanchjim to succeed in something that I can rave about. This isn't one of them. I had also just come off of the Fission, which still has me scratching my head of what the hell they were thinking. But let's go a little bit about the about section. These are time-stamped. You can skip this section. Spoiler alert. You'll learn probably a bunch about maybe some other IMs that you might want to look at, but I'm not going to be recommending this one at all. And it has the recipe for success, and that's what really actually had me excited about this one. I mean, Effect Audio, I know. I like their cables quite a bit. And in fact, I just came off their light cable reviews. And I'll talk about that again in a little bit. Dual dynamic drivers inside of these things. So inside is an 8.2 millimeter mid-frequency or mid to high frequency beryllium driver, which is nice. I find them, they sound great for bass, but this is not used in that case. And a titanium plated polyurethane plastic cone dynamic driver for the bass. And that's unusual in both cases. Here I'm using their ear tips in my sound impressions as well. And I'll show you that. So here you can see open back design. So when I hear open back design, the back of my mind goes, oh, that should have some probably good, big, open stage. Sounds like you'll be listening to speakers instead of listening to something that's shoved in your ears. Nope. This open back chamber, there's no sound leakage, by the way, and they do go back into that into the marketing, and I'm not going to talk about that really, but they basically put baffles in it that though it is open back, you won't get any sound leakage. So I guess that's good and bad. What does the open back design do for my listening impressions? Spoiler alert number 2. Absolutely nothing. This thing, well, I'll get into stage later on in the review, but the stage on this one is average at best. Let's talk about that handcrafted cable from Effect Audio. It is a nice cable that comes with it. It's a very minimalistic 4-core. Here's a picture of the light new Effect Audio cable and this one. So if that one's the light cable, what is this one made? Is this the ultralight? But I will just say that it is a bit stiff and unwieldy. Not my favorite. Though it is a nice cable, and I kind of understand what Tanchjim was doing here, but again, I don't think that was the right direction. 90-degree ends comes with modular 3.5, 4.4, and USB-C that is compatible with the app, and I'll talk about that again, time-stamped in another part of this review, because I think I want to spend a little bit of time, but not too much on that, just to point some stuff out. So they say on this cable, again, reading through the marketing, that they wanted to make it an enhanced high-frequency performance for clear, sharp detail and lively, bright treble extension. So does it do that? Yes and no. Cable does, in fact, lend a hand to enhance the highs. But in this tuning, a lot of the tracks are so upper mid forward focused that those take the center stage and washes out some of the high end finer details in strings and instruments. So the cable's a win-lose in this case. So yes, I do think it helps the tuning, but the tuning is flawed. So patent pressure relief vent. Why I'm going to talk about this, and I think I hope to find a picture of it. So, well, so many IAMs do this. This is not really special. And I'm not sure where the patent would actually come into play. In Chi-Fi, I didn't even think that was a thing. I thought they shared so they would be more competitive. And that makes more sense than the Western way of doing it, in my opinion. But there it is. So does it work? Yes, there is no pressure relief. And they also talked about these ear tips, right? So there's a wide bore, there's a small, medium, and sort of large, and again small, medium, and they're on the smaller size. So if you take a 14.4, you will probably not get a good seal or fit, and you will lose some bass. So but I did this review with the stock cable and the stock tips because that's what's in the box and that's what's fair. These are called TAPB, pressure balanced ear tips, to reduce ear pressure. I guess that was the thing they were really worried about with the internal routing of the vent back from the one dynamic driver up into the back and out through the rear, and these ear tips. Well, yeah, this does work. There's no fatigue for ear pressure, nor is there any kind of popping or anything when you get it in. So now, in this part, let's talk about that Type-C companion app, PC and mobile. So I know it works for Android. I can't confirm whether it works for iOS. I don't think so. And here you can get some additional presets. And this is the part that really kind of threw me. So stock tuning was a version of Harmonish, except for it lacked the bass or the bigger bass shelf, and it had that bass scoop that I'm not a fan of at all. So it was kind of a Harmonish based stocked tuning. So when you throw on the DSP cable, I thought, oh, okay, cool, great. They'll have some presets and they will maybe mix some things up and change the tuning. Well, again, when I measured it, here's the graph of the 5 different or whatever it was presets. And I thought, shit, they're all versions of Harman. And in fact, when I was doing the research for this review, they said specifically that it's a targeted version of 2013 Harman, 2016 Harman, 2019 Harman. Okay. And the ability to do your own with, again, only 5 bands of PEQ, which is nice, but again, expand that to 10 or don't bother at all. Now, this PEQ function with the DSP cable is I think it's a nice feature, or it used to be, until more dongles and other sources had the ability to configure PEQ settings in the dongles, like the new DD Hi-Fi one that's coming out, the EPZ TP35 Pro had that as well through the WalkPlay app, where you could actually do a really good job on the computer with the PEQ, load it onto the dongle, and then use your 3.5 or 4.4. To me, that makes a whole lot more sense than being just restricted down to the USB-C cable. Right? All those people, even if it did work for iOS prior to this year, who were still using Lightning, won't get that feature at all. So, and why all Harman? You had the opportunity, Tanchjim, to then kind of give us a couple other Harmons or one other Harmon, and then do something different, not 4 versions of Harmon. That it didn't make sense to me. Though again, I do like the Tanchjim companion app. I just think that its implementation, it was just done incorrectly. So let's talk about the stock tuning and the sound notes of the preset, really. So this kind of harmonish tuning that the stock tuning gives you is with the upper. Well, let's talk about the bass first of all, where it has that bass scoop, where the lower bass is scooped out, and then you get a relatively flat mid range. And then you get the lower bass. Let's just keep going on the bass for a second. For me, with this driver, with the titanium coated polyurethane driver, it is supposed to be, well, it should be faster, tighter bass, but because they've sub-tuned it, not any mid bass, you don't get any of the attack or the slam that you would get with adding in 150 hertz and scooping that out. You get sub bass, but again, in this stock tuning, it is very relaxed. So you don't, a lot of that is there in the track doesn't come through in the music because later on what's happening. So you have the kind of, I think it's, for me, it was sounding a little soft and pillowy down below. In the bass, but the lower bass does stay very clean, which was the kind of harmonish sound like that to make the lower mid sound very good. But it also, in combination with the lack or the relaxed bass, there's no attack when it comes to kick drums. So there's the piano weight was not there. Male vocals, not there. So instrumental, though, may have sound correct, there's just not enough information and weight down below to make it sound musical and right, if that makes sense to you, right? All of the lower half of the tuning is kind of washed out with that upper mid-range energy that comes out to play, and it's first and foremost. And as I say in the beginning of my review sound profile, what do I like? Do I like stuff that's that vocal forward and in your face? And this is one of these IMs that do that. The bass will give you some rumble down below, but no slam. And then you get the clean mids, and then you get that elevated upper mids. And the treble, again, would be nice. And again, on some tracks, it is very nice. But it does get washed out by those upper mids. Now, to talk about how this thing sounds with music, to give you a better idea. And the reason I'm spending so much time on this is I didn't want to come down on this IM without backing it up, right? You can talk the shit, but you got to back it up. Turnership by Malia and Boris Blank. So here, in this track, I was listening to it and I went, wow, this sounds really good. Her vocals sound really good. Big, open, spacious cues, crystal clear vocals. And I was really digging this track. I switched over to God Mode by Rustage, some rap. Now here, the force is showing its true colors in a bass department. The vocal forwardness with the bass coming in just slightly thumpy without any real impact or attack, and missing some of that energy in that down below, or a lot, I should say, is wrong for this genre. So rap, reggae, you're out. How about some I.O., Dark Side mix from Peter Gabriel? Wow. Not in a wow good way, but in a wow, holy shit, there is just way too much upper mids and forwardness to me to listen to this track. It's just screams turning me down. Move Your Body by Sia. Real smooth, real smooth. And here's again, you're listening to this and you're going, yeah, I'm digging this. I'm liking this. I'm liking what I'm hearing. I'm getting into the music. I love it. Right up until the chorus kicks in. And then it's a musical attack on your ears. Spark and sizzle with just top heavy percussion. So switching to the more analytical DCE source now. Before I had it on the DX340 with the AMP14 tube card. I switched it over to the DCE, which is a more analytical source. It's just a nope for me on this. It's ear sensory overload. Turning the volume down, though, because, okay, you say, okay, there's too much upper mids. Maybe this is a low volume set. So you turn the set down, and it just really washes away every single bit of dynamics. The bass just goes down to super lean, and it's just mid-centric mundaneness. That's just really how it sounds to me. And I'm going to do a couple comparisons now to some other drivers. In this case, how about a $59 two dynamic driver, open back, true open back, 6mm titanium mid-high, which is what I thought the other one would have used, the Force, and then there's a 8mm LCP driver for the lows. To me, those make sense. And I talk about in my reviews how the driver cone does make, or their generalization of how you can get a sonic signature of different sounding drivers. And indeed, this one sounds like you would expect it to should, and the Force doesn't sound anything like that at all. Like, I don't know, sound. So the DRACO. True open back. I mean, there's a huge open back here. There's two giant vents. They designed and engineered this $59 one. I just saw it cheaper than that, even $39 on AliExpress in the sale. Insane. This one sounds true open back, big stage, big open air or loudspeaker kind of design. You're sitting on your couch and listening to it. That's how it should sound with an open back, in my opinion. The DRACO sounds like that, whereas the Force sounds, in comparison in the stage wise for the same track, average at best in stage and presence. So bass texture, air, details, the timbre, the tonality of instrumentals, all those metrics are miles ahead in the DRACO over the Force. Even the cable is nicer and softer and more comfortable with the DRACO at ridiculously fraction of the price. And then another one of my favorites that I put on is the SHANLING TINO. Super gorgeous little, another dual dynamic drivers, vented shell, not an open back in this case, $79. Comes with a modular cable, and you got to pay a couple bucks more to get the 4.4 or the USB-C. Here is now a 10mm polyurethane driver, and the 8mm dynamic driver is a diamond-like carbon driver. N52 magnets, and I got a chuckle out of this, and Japan big black coil. Sound. Some rock. She sells Sanctuary. Oh my God. She sells Sanctuary by the Cult. This rock screams rock concert. Turn me up loud. So, okay, on low volumes, the Force sounds, honestly, like shit. Turn it up, and there is no attack for the bass. Also, it has my ears ringing when I try to bring it up to volumes to get to where it should be, to enjoy a rock song in rock concert. Well, maybe not quite those levels, but you understand what I mean. So switching over to the the TINO. So I hear the concert like a rock concert, more balanced sound, with better treble and more texture and a fuller mid range. The TINO screams "Turn me up" and play air drums. The Force screams "Rip these out of my ears" on this track. Just in comparison to sum those two up, the TINO is just more balanced. It has more bass and more texture. The mids are fuller, better filled out. It sounds more natural. And the extended treble doesn't hurt with the air and extension to bring a little bit of that dynamics and emotion to the music. Clear winner, TINO. Again, $79 versus $279. The stage was also noticeably wider, more holographic, and this is even without that open back design, right? The TINO will appeal to more genres of music and to more people. So, and then I was going to do a big write-up about the versus Tanchjim Bunny at $25, but I'm not. Honestly, the Bunny is probably one of their best tuned. No, actually, their cheapest one, the one DSP is fantastic stock tuning. The Bunny is number 2 at $25, better shell shape and design than the one. The one is a better IM. The Bunny is a better IM than the $280 flagship, and I'm going to leave it at that. So in this long-winded conclusion here, as Tanchjim's flagship statement, it does indeed make a statement to me. It says, I have lost my way. The One, the Oxygen, and the Bunny were this brand's best and most popular hits. They helped Tanchjim to be put on the map. And a few of these have a special place in my heart. The subsequent releases from the Oxygen, except for the One and the Bunny, had me scratching my head. The Origin was good, but it just was, again, overpriced. It came out way too late to the swappable nozzle party. And when Tanchjim had an opportunity for innovation, chose to go with an ineffective filter solution that really didn't work. It didn't play to the strengths of the IM, the tuning, nor did it make an audible difference in it, where others had just done it better, and they just shit the bed on that one. Then let's talk about the 4U. Thank God I never heard this one. And the subsequent Fission were a disgrace to engineering, not in its innovative approach, but in its practical application. Instead of giving users an elevated bass shelf, a boost in the stock tuning, and using that potentiometer to reduce the bass to users' preferred sound preferences, it gave us a kind of a just enough, barely relaxed bass response with a switch to completely neuter the bass, a feature so few would ever want to use. It just simply didn't make any sense. And then again, they implemented the swappable nozzles, which again did exactly the same thing as the Oxygen, and they just didn't do anything. Back to the Force. The Force feels like a last-ditch effort to get back on track by throwing in with a collaboration with a well-known audio cable maker as a value-added proposition. The choice to go to multiple harmonish route to appeal to the masses for multiple target curves along the same lines would not have been a bad choice if only the current popular meta was a version of Harman. But alas, it is not popular right now. as more and more people prefer a more balanced approach, or a more relaxed upper mid range and a less forward and aggressive upper mid tuning that doesn't push everything too much out front and in your face. And that's what's going on in the current market as this one is being released, yet Tanchjim has done something completely different that the Force does versus everyone else. So not a bad thing to set yourself apart, but there's been multiple versions of Harman IMs that are still out there that if you like that thing, you would choose over this IM. And they did it better. 1 out of 30 tracks, I would think, okay, wow, these drivers are very good that's used in here and are great. The Force is very smooth and musical. But for the majority of the tracks, I subjected my ears to listening to the Force with a great variety of indifference. All kinds of different music I used. I just came away thinking of who would enjoy this IM, who would buy this IM, who would appreciate this IM and would pay $280 for this IM. The Force shows no innovation, not in the open back application that it didn't work, or anything else, including the companion app. Nice, not implemented well, multiple version of Harman, not giving people choices. It just didn't make sense. The best advice I would say to you would be to stay away from this one. And if you want to support the brand, then buy the Tanchjim 1 or the DSP version, or the Bunny DSP. Again, $25. And you get a great sounding, solid little IM. If you really want to hear a properly done open back, 2DD open back, then I would say pick up the TRI DRACO. And for a non-open back, more musical kind of two dynamic drivers, the SHANLING TINO. Both can be purchased for pennies versus this IM. For bass lovers, there's also the Let's Shure sub-brand, the Aoshida E20. Double dynamic drivers that did it quite well as well. So there's just so many choices out that are better value than the Force. And I'm not even, and so these are like a fraction of the price. And I'm not even, the Force doesn't even compete in the market with IMs in its price point, because there's the Soft Ears Volume S. There is even the $129 Keyfine Quadio. There is so many. The Kiwi Ear Septet. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Some of the new Meyer Audio releases are impressing me as well. And again, they're all less than this and do something better, more musical, give you more value. And that's where I'm wrapping this up and leaving it. Thank you for taking the time to watch my rant. And Tanchjim, a message to you if you get this far, is get some input from the community maybe before you release stuff, because you're going in a weird way. I'd love to see you get back on track and root for you. I really would. But the Force is not the one. The Force is not with you. I'm sorry on this one. So, Tone Deaf Mug, out for now.